Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the VOD Squad, the show where we talk about streaming technology. This is episode 220 on February 3rd, 2021. I am Clyde, and today I am joined by Matthew Ross.
Hey everybody.
And Jamie Trammell.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going good. We are into February, and you know what that means?
Winter is finally coming.
Only 3 more months of winter,
Okay.
counting February.
Yeah, because winter kind of shows up late in December, and then kind of goes away for a little bit, and then it kind of hits hard in February. At least it's been that way for the past several years here, and I don't know why.
See, in February, that is exactly why I never ever celebrate my birthday, is because February, it's always like one of the coldest days of the year, and I'm not going anywhere.
I thought you didn't celebrate your birthday because, that way you stay young forever.
Oh no, I've always wanted to be a old man, just get off my lawn, curmudgeon.
Oh, so you multiply your birthdays. You instead it's.
Oh yeah, no, I do like dog years, but in reverse. So I've been aging 7 years every year. I'm actually like 93.
Like 160?
Yeah, something like that. Let's see. 43 times 7. Since I don't do math.
Something in one. That'd be 200 and... Yeah. Now you got 3 podcasters doing math live on the internet. This is great podcasting.
I pushed my calculator button and it
just so you know.
Oh, there it is. 73
That's really good stuff, I gotta
7.
say.
Oh,
I'm
40.
just trying to remember.
So just so you know, you can take all my birthdays if you want. Yeah, I'll just give them to you for free. That way I don't have to have
I'm 301.
Yeah. So it was a 1. You're older than the number of episodes of this podcast by a long shot.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, I gotta say.
So I guess it was Groundhog Day yesterday, right?
Oh,
it was, and
it was
that's stupid.
6 more weeks of winter, right?
So I didn't realize it was Groundhog's Day until mid morning, and at which point I did barrage my wife with a ton of Groundhog Day, the movie meme gifs in her, like, which day is it? And there's Bill Murray waking up out of bed in a start, and it's just repeating. What? Wait a second. What day is it? And then him smashing the alarm clock, and then trying to kill himself so many times, and then finally the question of, hey, what did you do today? I don't know. The same old, same old.
Yeah.
I love that movie. It's such a good movie.
Yeah, I got to go back and watch that one again. That is a great movie.
I saw that one in the theater. I didn't know what it was. I don't know how I ended up seeing it, but I did. And I'm kind of glad I did.
Well, yeah. It's
I'm just saying I'm glad I saw it in the theater,
right,
as opposed to just seeing it.
Gotcha. What year was that?
It was 91, I think.
I might have seen that in the theater too, but
I remember I was living in San Dimas at the time, so it was 91-ish, maybe 92.
Yeah, it was Bill Murray post like Stripes and and Ghostbusters and all. It'd been a few years since he'd done.
I would say it was the dawn of his second career, because he kind of popped up in the early 90s in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so he was February 12th, 1993.
Oh, it was 93.
Yes,
okay.
I would have been a freshman.
That was
in high school.
That was the year I moved to North Dakota that summer. So
yeah, he did Stripes like early 80s.
Yeah,
it was like about 82.
That was one of his early movies. Yeah. Directly following Caddyshack, right?
Yes, Caddyshack was first, then he did Stripes.
Yep.
Right,
Or
but
Gophers.
Caddyshack was right after the not ready for primetime players. The first group, had retired and moved on, and then you had the second group that came in.
Yeah, and I didn't realize until recently that Joel Murray and the other guy, the really old dude that's always been really old, are his brothers.
The other guy who's always really old.
Yes, I can't think of his name. Murray. He was on that show with Chris Elliott, Get a Life. He's got a really gravelly voice.
Okay, I believe you.
But I'll think of it later.
I'll look it up later.
He's actually my favorite of the Murray brothers.
Brian Doyle
yes,
Murray.
Brian Doyle
to
Murray.
Magic.
Yes.
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you, Evan. He's my favorite of them, but I didn't realize they were all related. Kind of like Beau Bridges and Jeff Bridges. I only know Beau Bridges from like TV and stuff. Like he was on Stargate, and then I find out that he's Jeff Bridges' brother. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And Lloyd
Bridges was their dad, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, I know who this guy is. Okay.
I'm pretty sure Joe Murray is a brother.
Wow.
No, Wabbit said he didn't think Joe Murray is a brother. Yeah,
okay.
I mean they look.
It could be
alike.
Well,
and they have the same name, so they must be brothers.
It must be because that's how work. Because if you are named, let's just say your name was Jackie Jackson. You would be related to Michael Jackson, obviously.
He is the youngest of the 9 Murrays.
The youngest?
Yep.
Okay.
See, even Webby didn't know. But it was one of those things that once I found out, then I looked and went, oh, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, I see it too, actually.
I totally see it.
He does have that look.
And like his personality and his voice. But I would say of the Murray brothers that I know, I'd say he's tied with Bill.
Really?
I like Brian Doyle Murray the most.
About the same, huh?
And then I'd probably put them because I like them for different things. But yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, but favorite movies which has Bill Murray in it. You have one? I have one.
Okay.
What about Bob?
Really? That's a very underrated movie.
I love that movie. It's hilarious.
It was.
And you know what? Bill Murray's performance as a literally kind of a lunatic is important, but it's Richard Dreyfuss's ability to be pissed off that sells that movie so well, and it's great. I love it. If you haven't ever seen What About Bob and you want to have a good time, go watch What About Bob. Probably streaming somewhere on the internet. It's a great show.
Okay.
Yeah, What About Bob was a good movie, but I don't know. I liked it, but when you said which one was my favorite, I don't know. It almost would be a tie between Stripes and Groundhog.
You were gonna say Tootsie, but you were
that's not.
No, that's,
he was in Tootsie. He played Jeff in Tootsie.
Oh, okay.
That was Dustin Hoffman.
Well, Dustin Hoffman was Tootsie, but
right.
But Bill Murray was in Tootsie.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah. I think Kingpin. is one of my favorites. He was Ernie McCracken. What's that? Kingpin was the one with Woody Harrelson.
The bowling one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bill Murray was the bad guy, kind of, for lack of a good word. He was the dude. He had like the rose in the.
Was that Bill Murray?
Yeah.
Really? That was Bill Murray?
Yeah. And
No
he's got
way!
the crazy hair that's like, yeah. Here,
Oh God.
I'm gonna do this.
I'm bringing it up. I did not remember that was Bill Murray. Oh my God, you're right. That was Bill Murray. Oh my goodness gracious.
So I remember when that movie was around, but I never saw that movie. I need to go watch.
Oh,
that
dude, that movie was so great. It's got so much.
I know.
It's so
it looked
quotable.
like it was great. I think that was back when I was traveling consultant, and all that. I just didn't have time to watch it.
No, it is a very good movie. I would recommend you watch it too, because it is.
That would have been the summer after I graduated from high school.
I think
so it's that perfect point in history for me. Yes.
So they started, absurd movies have been a thing for a while, but a certain style of absurd movie that kind of turned into,
a popular phenomenon
has become a popular thing now. It feels like that movie kind of like was at the head of that, maybe even started it.
Well, it was right. It was at the right time because it was early enough that it felt fresh.
Right.
That if you do that now, it just feels played out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that genre of let's take a thing, let's be serious about, so super serious about it, even though it's silly.
Yeah.
Is been done so much now. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, it also had Chris Elliott, who's one of my favorite, like, very underrated actor people. And then Vanessa Angel, because I mean, who doesn't enjoy watching Vanessa Angel for 2 hours? But yeah, whatever happened to her?
I don't know.
I mean, we're talking about comedy movies, which I think we're all fans of, right? And Samuel Jackson did comedies, earlier in his career, but then he started doing some dramas, and I guess people liked him, and paid him a lot of money to do all the dramas over the years. But I always enjoyed the comedy that Samuel Jackson would do. Right?
Like The Kingsman? Which is one of the funniest movies there towards the end. Did you see Kingsman?
The recent movie, The Kingsman?
No, not the sequel.
I know
the original Kingsman.
Yeah, but
he was the bad guy. He was the super villain.
He was the super villain, and he was crazy.
And then there was that whole when they set off the weapon, and it was like the greatest thing. I laughed so hard. I couldn't breathe. I was in a theater. I couldn't.
I was that movie. I was so gobstopped halfway through it. I basically got to the point. Well, I don't care what happens at this point. Let's just see where this train goes. And it just went. And I was already at that point just like, I had lost my ability to comprehend things. And
but I mean, to Jimmy's point, I mean, he did a lot of comedies like Goodfellas and The Exorcist 3 and what else was
Pretty good felt feel good comedy movies.
No,
right?
I mean he was in Coming to America and School Days and stuff like that.
You could almost say
Jungle Fever.
Snakes on the Plane was a comedy. You could almost say Snakes on a Plane was a comedy. Right?
No, I can't. I can honestly say no, it's not. We watched it as part of a patron pick for Movie Party last year, and no.
And it wasn't funny?
No. That is an absolutely, truly terrible movie, and you only watch it for one reason. It's for him to say that one line, and you're almost better off watching the edited for TV version because it's much better.
Yeah, because it's Mother Truckin', right?
No, it's Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday, Muddy Truckin', Snakes on this plane.
No, that movie was absolutely... It's garbage. Absolute garbage. It was not even good enough for Movie Party.
Well, the trouble with that movie, right? That Samuel Jackson was the only decent actor in it, right?
No, I would say no because there were several people in there that were decent.
I have never seen that movie.
I watched it once. I'm trying to remember. Did I watch?
Did you watch it on a plane?
No. No, but that would have been a good one to watch it on.
So one of the main characters was Juliana Margulies. She's a good actor. Nathan Phillips, Rachel Blanchard.
Raid.
There was no shortage of talent. It's just a terrible movie.
Yeah,
absolutely
well,
terrible.
Everybody's waiting for the sequel. Snakes on a Train, right? I mean, it's got to happen eventually,
Snakes
right?
on cocaine.
Snakes on cocaine,
I want to
right?
see a whole bunch of hopped up snakes slithering around, terrorizing people
Snakes in the
with
fast lane.
AK-47s.
Uh,
Hey, thanks, Cruz, for the raid. You know what? We're like 20 minutes into the show, and we're just.
Well, you know,
we should probably move on.
yeah, I would say that was the better part of the show because now we have to talk about.
Yeah, I know
sneaking
that.
news.
So those of you that were here for the banter, thanks. We'll catch you next week. If you're actually interested in the stuff that we normally talk about, what are we here to actually talk about?
Actually, this first story is something I'm very interested in talking about. Google has been noted that it is moving on from one of its development studios. What had happened is
Did it kill Stadia?
Well, that's basically what the all the pundits are saying. It's going to happen at this point. Google didn't kill Stadia. Google did nothing to Stadia proper. What they did is they actually hired people to create a company to develop games specifically designed for Stadia, the platform.
Yeah.
The idea was if it's going to be a platform, it should have some first-party games, and B, if we have this platform which is cloud connected, there are things that they should be able to do that nothing else would be able to do because it's unique to kind of position in the system. But Google has decided to take that development team and shut it down. Instead, taking those people and moving them over to other parts of the streaming service. And there is actually a long letter by the guy, the head of the development team, explaining what's going on, essentially saying that it's really expensive and takes a long time to make video games now. Yep. I mean, like really expensive and takes a long time.
Yep.
And so they decided that instead of spending their time and effort in that, it made more sense to let the third parties go ahead and do their thing. But the thing that really bothers me is that everybody out there said, "Oh no, say goodbye to Stadia." They, obviously they can't do anything with this. It's gonna go away. Obviously, especially The Verge, who basically said, read between the lines, this is going to be the end of Stadia because Google loves to take things and destroy them. And maybe they're right. But maybe they're not.
See, and
I got things to say.
This is where I will probably be surprising and say I don't think it's a big deal. When I first saw the article, like most people, I went, "Oh no!" And then when I thought about it, I realized, "Oh, okay, so they're just shutting down their own game development company,
right?"
Which makes perfect sense. Because number one, that's the kind of thing you start to hedge your bets. If you can't, if you're creating a platform and you don't know if you're going to be able to get games like AAA games on there, you better be able to create your own content.
Say hello to Nintendo during the Nintendo Wii U time.
Or you pay somebody else to do it for you.
Exactly. Or, look at Facebook TV. They weren't making their own content and nobody else was using it, and it just sat there forever languishing, right? So that makes sense. The fact that Stadia has been taking off, it is fairly popular. They are getting AAA titles on release. I don't think that their own games are necessary anymore. And then also, they've kind of positioned themselves where they could get, they could potentially get an exclusive. How like a specific game will come out on PlayStation only for like a year and then be available elsewhere.
They just lost the exclusive to their first exclusive game, actually, which was Orcs Must Die 3. It has just recently been released on other platforms like PlayStation and Xbox. But until then, it was only playable on Stadia, and it was fun.
What I'm talking about is I'm talking like AAA title, like soon they'll be able to get like a Cyberpunk only available, on Stadia for whatever.
Well, you could argue.
They kind of did. It was the only place it was playable.
Exactly, unless you had a PC that was $1,000 PC plus.
So no, I was all set to throw a fit, but this is understandable.
My problem isn't the fact that they're reporting that the development studio went away. That's not my problem. My problem is that they are equating that to, and this is a signal that Google is giving up on Stadia. There is no signal they're giving up on Stadia.
Okay.
Stadia is right now the most popular streaming service.
They are right, but for the wrong reason. Do you know how you know that they're giving up on Stadia?
Because it's owned by Google, and Google gives up on everything. They created
Stadia, and it's inevitable they will give up on it because that's what the company does. They're just not doing it yet.
I'm willing to see if I can predict the future. My prediction of the future is that Stadia is a successful product for several years, owned by Google, and is able to live on its own. Live as part of the Google ecosystem for many years. Eventually, you will see the Google Stadia become the white box side for other companies who want to use the technology to make their own streaming services, and it becomes its own thing. And eventually, after that, after it's pretty much like as well established thing, Google will spin it off as its own thing and say it's no longer a part of Google Stadia, it's just Stadia. And because we don't want to deal with it anymore, and and they will have a new CEO and what?
Like Nest?
Nest went away and then came back in a weird way. And that might happen too. I'm only predicting to the point where eventually they go ahead and say, go ahead and let it go and become its own thing. That's my guess. Because it currently is the most popular streaming service out there.
If you love something, set it free.
Mm-hmm.
If it comes back to you, it was probably confused.
If it comes back to you, it never wanted to go. It really didn't. All right. So Disney has got their Disney Plus, and they've got the ESPN Plus, and they got Hulu, and they've been offering for a while an ability for you to bundle the three platforms together. But one of the things that people have been asking for is, hey, I want to bundle them all together, but I don't want to have to pay for the version of Hulu that includes the ads. Looks like they've announced the new bundle. That's the Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and ad-free Hulu is now available to everybody. It's a total cost of $18.99 a month for all three on platforms. Now, this is not Hulu Live, so this is just the plain Hulu.
That's that really, that price tag.
Does it bother you?
Yeah, it does. Because I just about quit Netflix because I had to bump it down to the lowest tier I could. So I'm still paying $15, and I absolutely hating the fact that I'm paying $15. But I mean, I'm already paying like $12 for Hulu ad free. You add on the $7 for Disney Plus, and for the 2 months that I used it, or the 1 month I used it and the 1 month I paid for, that I wasn't using it, I was paying about this price without ESPN Plus, but that's good. I don't think this is a good deal unless you desperately want ESPN Plus. Then yes, this is a great deal. If not, just get the Hulu you want and sign up for Disney Plus when you want it.
Right.
I think it's a good deal. I mean, you got to be a sports fan and like ESPN, right? To sign it. I mean, if you like ESPN at all, I think you're right, Clyde. It is a good deal. But if I hadn't had, I did like Michael. I did the 3 years of Disney. I just paid for that, right? The Disney Plus. So I already have that, for another year and almost 2 years, really. And so if I didn't have that already, I would be interested in this package, right?
Yeah, but, it's literally $19.99 that I'm paying for Hulu Plus and Disney Plus. So It's a good deal if you want ESPN. If you don't,
You're paying an extra dollar, dude.
yeah, but you're getting a package. You can't just shut one of them off when you're not
You
using
can
it.
actually. I believe it's actually easier to do that kind of change whenever you want. That being said, just pay. This is the kind of thing you would normally do. Just say, it's cheaper. I don't use it. It doesn't hurt any. Just go ahead and get it cheaper anyways.
No.
Surprised you're not taking that stance like you would normally
No,
do.
because
Like,
I don't want to pay for stuff I don't use.
Yeah, but
and-
you're paying less for stuff you don't lose.
99 cents?
Not $1, but that's okay.
But still, that's not worth it because I'm still paying $7 or $6 more than I want to be if I were just to turn off Disney Plus.
That's so you go ahead, turn it
Yeah.
off.
Oh no, I did.
Okay.
So yeah, like I said, if you're, I don't think it's worth it if you're just into it for Hulu and Disney Plus. It is worth it if you are interested in ESPN.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. We have a report here from Android Police. I like Android Police, by the way. That TikTok, you know, that app that allows you to watch those really short videos, usually music based, based on real quick recordings on your phone.
TikTok, aka the internet's herpes.
I guess it is because I've never caught the internet's herpes because I've never installed or watched TikTok.
I practice safe internets. I don't TikTok.
Well, unfortunately, if you're not careful, it's now available on your Android TV, so it will be able to be installed and take over your Android TV. Say goodbye to productivity, says this article, and TikTok is now available on your Android TV. So, I don't know. I the only way I happen to see a TikTok video is if it's reposted on Reddit / /funny. So, and so if it meets that bar, I will see it. Otherwise, I don't see it.
Yeah,
I'm like you, Matt. I've never even tried this. I mean, I've heard of TikTok, but I've never tried it.
See,
Yeah.
we could totally make a TikTok channel ourselves.
technically we should be.
Right.
We already should be, but no.
No. It's just simply this. We just like take the stories and we just go, hey, TikTok's now now available on Android TV. And then we all go, oh, and then that's the whole video.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll get millions of views. People will be eating it up and we'll make hundreds of dollars.
Isn't this the one where the videos can only be 30 seconds or less?
Yeah, something like that.
They bumped it up recently, I thought, but yes.
Ooh, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
And they're supposed to be set to music, but people don't always do that, just so you know.
Okay.
All right. The Alliance for Open Media has a royalty-free codec. That codec is known as AV1. It's the free and open source codec that Google has been using for quite some time, and it looks like Google is taking this new codec to a new level by basically requiring it for future versions of Android, versions devices that are with Android 10 Plus are going to be implementing this AV1 codec and may require hardware decoding in order to be using it in the future.
Well, this
So-
is... Oh,
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say this is notable because if you remember the story last week, the story was about the new Android TVs that are coming with the new
Hardware,
new
assisted
chip
AV1.
that supports AV1, and this is why.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I found so interesting because I'm interested in that AV1 codec and kind of where it goes. So yeah, this is cool. This could be bad news for people that are on old Android TV devices that may not be may not have the capability physically, or where the manufacturers don't deem it necessary to update it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe the hardware would be capable of doing it, but
Yes.
but the guys who update it don't actually implement it.
Yeah, I mean, like first generation Shield, who knows? Second
Yeah,
generation Shield, probably.
NVIDIA, I have a first generation Shield. Those guys have been keeping that thing up to date. I suspect it's got enough beefy hardware that it can actually.
I'm just saying,
I'm sure.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying they won't.
Right.
I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if first generation Shield didn't get updated to support it.
Yeah.
Second
Your
generation,
Mi Box
absolutely.
is probably not gonna.
Yeah. And, same thing with the Mi Box. Yeah, your Mi Boxes and the other stuff that's been out there for a while. So this is cool.
And so MPEG 2 and then H.264, which is a standard that's it was a codec that they came to a standard to. Then H.265 was the next one, and believe it or not, AV1 is considered like or close to the spec of what H.266 is.
Yep.
So it is the next generation of video codecs.
Yeah.
So
we first talked about AV1. It was at least a year ago,
or longer,
maybe two. When they first announced that Google was participating because this is the one that was developed by a consortium of companies, I believe, and yeah, Google is participating in a whole bunch of
refresh my memory. What's the big features of this codec?
It's the amount of data, so speed and small file sizes.
just like the previous generations, it almost halves the size for the same amount of data.
Yeah.
It makes the higher resolutions
This is
much
the
more
codec
capable.
that's going to allow 8K streaming, is my
Right.
theory.
Oh, okay. So they're Pied Piper. is what
Kinda.
they are.
Minus the not a hot dog app on your refrigerator. Oh wait, that wasn't on the refrigerator, but yes.
It's Android TV. I'm sure there's a not a hot dog app somewhere
This can be.
on Android. And probably installs on your Android TV. Just saying. Okay. Google TV also, apparently they've been doing all kinds of reference updates for their systems here. They've got a new update here for what the remote controls are supposed to look like. So the reference design includes a couple things that are going to be like pretty standard from this point, like button placement. Certain buttons are going to be in certain spots or at least they're going to be making reference designs to try to match that, which if you ask me is a good idea. Google, make sure people are, kind of a normal design we think people get used to. Good idea. Apparently the watch list button is going to become a thing that is going to be standard on all the different new remotes. What do you guys use the watch list for?
Well, you don't. If you're not using the Google TV function, you're not.
Okay.
So the watch list is a bar that basically the hardware keeps track of. These are the things you've been watching.
Okay.
And puts it in a, context. So the watch list
And you
will
can bring
take
that
you
up.
directly to that or bring
Nice.
up a separate page that's just your watch list. I will say I like this new reference remote much better than the one that currently comes with the Google or with the Android TV for Sabrina, Chromecast, Sky Plus, whatever. I hate
This
that
thing.
remote. I absolutely hate it. Yes.
You hate it, huh?
I do not like that remote. I don't even want to pick it up. I don't hate it as bad as the Apple one, but still.
I kind of like it. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Nice.
It's just, it doesn't feel good in my hand. It feels too cramped and and I don't like it doesn't have the play button where I have to hit the main button and hope it's going to do the thing I really want it to do.
Right. And I agree with, I wish it had a dedicated play pause button at least.
And fast forward and reverse, but
that would be
I
better,
digress.
but the play pause would be good.
I will
But
say,
I also agree with you that the buttons on that remote are farther down the remote than they probably should be.
Not comfortable.
Or just make the remote a little bit longer on the bottom so you have a little bit more
Which
bottom
this
grip length. That would be okay.
this and like I said, this is
The reference
I
looks
think
good.
this is a reference is a move in the right direction. And they also show the reference version for TVs that are built with Android TV built in.
Yep. Yeah.
And so unfortunately, it's just a reference, and people don't actually have to follow it.
Of course not.
But that's also kind of a good thing because this may not be great. And
Nope. Somebody might think of something better.
Yeah, there may be a company that says, nope, our remote's better. Like the TiVo one, I really like the remote that came with the TiVo Stream. So, yeah.
I still think he's just biased, people. I think he's just biased about TiVo. That's all.
No, I don't use that box. I really don't like what they've done with the interface. I don't use it anymore.
I think it's tall nostalgia, the whole wavy remote thing. It's
I think they're remote.
You, sir. Allow me to tease you,
I
sir.
am, and I'm agreeing with you that yes, when it comes to the remote, there is absolute nostalgia. Because
Don't tease me, bro.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to tease if I can. All right. So AT&T has their DirecTV and AT&T service. AT&T TV Now is kind of gone, but kind of in limbo. If you touch it at all, it turns into an AT&T TV. That was a whole discussion last week or the week before. Anyways, that mess is still a thing.
Don't touch it.
Sorry, I have to. It's my job. So they have been having a spat with Cox-owned local channels, and they have been working. They've been trying to make a deal, but unfortunately, no deal could be made. So if you have one of these Cox channels on your services, you are going to be losing some of those Cox channels, those locals, in your area, including, unfortunately, Cairo 7 is being lost in my area, which sucks because where else am I going to watch my Mariners games, guys?
Or as I would read it, Oric 7.
Oh, it's right, because you read things backwards.
I like to read
Was that
things
pre-show?
backwards.
Was that pre-show?
Yeah,
I think I was pre-show. That's a pre-show joke for those guys who know.
It might be. I don't know. But yeah.
It's all right. I don't know. This is like every other, negotiation tactic. I mean, I can't say. All I gotta say is AT&T TV and DirecTV and TV and all that stuff. They just need to get their stuff together. Bothered. All right, here we are. The big game is coming. What am I allowed to call it? What it is? I think so.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The Superb Owl.
Superb Owl.
I think I've for some reason some people don't like to say its name because of copyright. I really do not know. It's the Super Bowl. I don't care. That big game is coming up, and they want you to know that you can watch it online if you want to. The best way to watch it is if you have no other cable services that have access to the CBS channels. It looks like it will be available on CBS sports.com for free streaming on the internet.
Yeah, I think this should be a big year, mainly not for crowds, or I don't know if anybody will be there, but it is Florida, so they'll probably. But the NFL is the one that was limiting crowd sizes.
Right.
But all I got to say is, does this officially place Tom Brady as the greatest quarterback ever? Because, over the last decade, everybody's been saying, oh, no. Well, it's because of the team. It's because of the budget. It's because of the cheating for Belichick. It's because of all these reasons. So he went to Tampa Bay, one of the worst teams in the league, and then led them to the Super Bowl. Does that basically prove that all that other stuff was not a non-issue?
I think it makes a tough case for him. That's for sure. Right? I mean, I've never been much of a Patriots fan, but you got to say, Tom Brady's a talented quarterback, and is he the greatest there ever was? I think there's a strong argument there to say he is.
How much you want to bet he went to the Buccaneers so he could prove people that he's the best, or at least that was a piece of it?
I think part of it is
name the team
he
to
went
send me to
as a middle finger to the Patriots, right?
Just somebody says no, you're not. You're all these other reasons why you were. It's like, no, I'll prove it to you. You name the team. I'll go join. I'll go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I figured he went there just to kind of stick it to him. But
go ahead.
Yeah, I think what Tom Brady was hoping for, even, and this plays along the same line. Notice he went to an NFC team,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think he was hoping he would get there to the Super Bowl and meet the Patriots in the Super
Oh
Bowl.
yeah. See, and that's always great.
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah. But I think it was you, Jimmy, that pointed out that their Tampa's playing in their own Super Bowl or their own stadium.
Yeah.
This is the first time ever
They're
that
the
a home
the
team
home
has
team.
played.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So,
That's right.
so yeah, big year for whatever. Like I said, this is one of my favorite Sundays of the year because I can drive around town and
Exactly.
nobody's
Traffic
around.
is so
But that's
light.
also been my year. That's why 2020 is one of my favorite years.
Oh man.
Yeah. Let's make sure to talk about the commercials next week.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm all for that. Actually, I really am. So that sounds like fun.
Okay.
Okay. What if you guys are out and you are using Comcast? Now, we knew from last year that they were going to be implementing a new data cap for users in about 12 states that didn't have double data caps before. This is going to be Comcast's introduction into getting a lot of these states that weren't using data caps. They had unlimited plans to pay per 10 gigabytes. They would have to pay $10 per 10 gigabytes they use over the cap, or spend money up front for an unlimited plan that allows them to use the internet without any limits from them. They went ahead and talked to one of the state representatives, where there was the Pennsylvania state representative, basically took them to task and said, we're in the middle of a pandemic. There's a bunch of people who are using your services and are needing it more than ever. Now is not the time to have this be implemented. And they were able to get Comcast to delay their expansion of this data cap until July, which means pretty much until the end of the school year for everybody. So good news if you've been on Comcast and you've been using a lot of internet and you didn't want to have to pay more in one of these 12 states. You now have a better plan. The plan has been extended.
It's one reason why I'm an AT&T subscriber now, right? I was a long time Comcast subscriber, had a cable modem and used their internet service for many years. And then they imposed data caps here, right here where I live in West Palm. And that was the reason why I switched over to AT&T as soon as AT&T became available. I just didn't like the idea of data caps. I don't think any internet service provider should impose any data caps.
So
I just don't see the reason for it.
So I gotta tell you something. Your AT&T internet, your video looks different than it does on the Comcast one. I'm just saying. I don't know why. No, I'm kidding. He looks the same. But I'm the weird oddball here who actually does like the idea of rated internet, not data caps per se. I like at a reasonable rate dated internet, like you pay for water or electricity. I think that's actually an okay thing. You can expect your bill to be a certain amount, but the rate needs to be so low that it's like you really have to be abusing the system in order to have a decent bill size. That's what I think it should be.
I would be okay with that if they could guarantee speeds, right?
Right. Yeah.
But that's the problem. They can never guarantee.
Yeah.
They can't do that.
Right.
It depends on the transport. If you're talking DSL and you're within a specific distance from the home office, then yes, you can guarantee. But who wants DSL?
Well,
now,
No.
But I mean, one thing I'll say about Comcast, Comcast delivers a good service. Right?
They can.
Their service was always good when I used them. Right. What really ticked me off was just the data caps. Right. And they didn't have the gigabit speeds like what I have now at the time. I think they do now.
Mm-hmm. They have gigabit-ish.
Well,
My internet
it's-
might about to get really slow. Hold on.
The same with the fiber service that
Well,
I
it's
have
like
now.
because it's still cable. It's the same as my gigabit service here. I have never seen anywhere close to 800, let alone the gigabit that I'm supposedly have available.
Right.
So it depends on the infrastructure in your area. It depends on users in your neighborhood. You know, it depends on so many different variables.
Sure.
That technically, yes, that gigabit is available. Whether or not you will ever see it is debatable.
Right. So the way they gauge it, Matt, is by speeds, right, rather than by amount. But when they start doing both of those, both speeds and amounts, then that's kind of where I draw the line.
This is the old discussion about internets and how they're kind of monopolies. And it's kind of especially the cable internet solution. So I can't wait till we move on to other solutions that are much better than this. But
Skynet.
moving on to, I'm sorry, that is maybe possibly something that finally gets us out of this current situation. That would be okay.
Now you've got a monopoly with that company because they also control the spaceships that put those satellites.
Right.
And yeah.
Well, but at the same time, they also have the 5G internets that are coming out that might actually be competition as well. I'm just saying new things are coming out for people. Thank goodness. The other piece of Comcast news here is that if you are on the Internet Essentials package, that is the very inexpensive package for people who are of low income. It's a $10 internet package that used to be 25 megabits down and 2.5 megabits up. They've just doubled the speed of that to 50 megabits down and 5 megabits up, which is halfway decent internet for $10. That's not a bad deal.
I would say that's not halfway decent. That's fully legit. Most people don't need more than 5 megs up. 50 down is a respectable,
And what's the data cap on that package?
What's that?
What's the data cap on that package?
Since it's so slow, it's harder to hit the cap, which is actually a real problem. If you have higher speeds, it's easier to hit the cap.
Let me just remind you that's 50 megs isn't actually slow.
No, it's pretty fast.
50 megs is what I was paying for with my business class at my previous location, and it was more than enough to do all of the stuff we're doing right now.
Right. My school district for years was using 50 megabits of internet down, and it was a 50 megabit fiber link, and they were constantly asking me, "Are we going to run out of bandwidth? Are we going to run out of bandwidth?" And I was looking at the numbers and going, "No, we're actually pretty good. It's not a problem." I did eventually move on to gigabit internet there when somebody came in and provided me with something that was half the cost and gigabit speeds. Yeah. So it's like, yes, we will move up to that.
My point was 50 megs is not bad. It's not, bad is 1 to 3 meg DSL service or T1. That is bad. Anything over 10 megs is absolutely great for most people. If you're trying to provide an entire apartment complex on this one, then yeah, 50 you may tax 50 megs pretty quickly. But for a family, 50 megs will be fine.
Remember, Netflix recommends 25 megabits per second down if you want to stream 4K. In 4K.
Yeah, that's my point. You literally need like 3 megs in order to just watch normal stuff.
Exactly. It's not bad. No. You're going to be okay. And that's going to go. That requirement's going to go down as new codecs come out that use up less bandwidth.
Yeah, pretty much. With the AV1 codec, it's going to be so efficient that they're going to owe you.
Does the internet work like that?
It started streaming before I even thought to push the button. Okay.
That's funny. Hey, so Spotify has been doing their podcast things for a little while now, maybe a year or so, maybe longer. I cannot remember. But now they report that a quarter of all of their users who are using the Spotify listen to podcasts on the platform, which that's like, oh well, that's an interesting number. But their user base is 365 million people, which means that's like 80
Pretty big number.
million podcast listeners on that. They ain't bad.
But how many of them are? Because they recently, I was angry. I got in my car the other day and they redid their app so that when I bring up Spotify in my car, the only thing on the screen when it first starts up is podcasts. And I was pissed because I don't listen to podcasts on there. I am subscribed to a couple podcasts on there, so I am probably considered as one of those people. I have never once listened to any of those podcasts on there, which I probably should. But yeah, quarter, right?
Yeah, 1/4 of their 380 some million users are listening to podcasts, which means, yeah, podcasts are dying, right? It's an old medium. Nobody's using that anymore, right?
Yeah.
Who cares about podcasts? Jeez, can't believe you're listening to a podcast. What's wrong with you? I mean, jeez, it's wonderful and horrible at the same time.
Meanwhile, but back to our podcast.
Okay, Geforce Now, that platform allows you to play a bunch of games and a whole bunch of different games that weren't available until they all got pulled away. Geforce Now has been available using a game client. It's been available on things like your Windows machines and Macs. Now they have a new version of the Geforce Now and that will work without any app use as long as you're using Chrome web browser. It's currently in beta, but it does mean you'll be able to play games in up to 1080p using just the Chrome web browser in order to start your game sessions. No app required, which means I need to block Geforce Now at school as soon as I get back to work.
Yep. First question, based off that picture, is Patrick Stewart the Hitman?
Yeah.
It could be.
I'm pretty sure that's Patrick Stewart.
Other
than
I would watch a show with called The Hitman, and it has a flashback sequence, which is the movie, but it flashes back forward, and you have Patrick Stewart playing as the older Hitman. I would totally do that.
I was gonna say, wasn't Timothy Oliphant Hitman in the movie?
I never watched the movie.
I enjoyed it.
I did. I watched that one.
I saw that one in the theater, and I actually enjoyed it. But I've enjoyed most of the video game movies that I've seen. So, yeah.
That one was pretty good. I too watched it. It was well after I had watched it that I realized it was a video game. But I did enjoy the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this being available everywhere. This should be available everywhere. So, good on them. That's all I'll say.
Cool.
Back on topic.
And last news story for the day is about Ruvio is taking their mobile game streaming service. Yes, that's right, a mobile game streaming service. And unfortunately for everybody who happened to be using it, both of you, I'm sorry, they're going to be stopped using making that service available to you. It was called Hatch because Rovio is the company who made Angry Birds and they hatching eggs and all that, and it allowed you to stream games to your mobile device. What? I don't understand the concept here at all. Aren't you on a mobile phone to play mobile games?
So the point of this was the same as like Stadia now, where you don't have to download the game. You don't have to install it. You don't have to take up space, which is useful if, let's say, I want to play mobile games. A lot of times there's a barrier to entry. I'm not willing to try certain games because I don't know if I want to install it on my phone. Go through that hassle and then uninstalling it.
It's a button pressing and then waiting
but it's
patiently
more
for a
than
few
that.
minutes.
Because,
I know games like have that little installer file they actually get from the Play Store, and then after that, it actually installs the
And it's not the
gigabytes of
weight;
games. Is
it's
that
the
the problem?
fact that that I may not necessarily want it on my phone.
These must be really bad games.
No, it just but I digress.
I don't understand at all. So
Look, I went through when I got my new phone. I went through my old phone, and there were literally like 1,200 folders of app data from games that were installed, tried, and immediately deleted. All that stuff hangs around. I don't want it.
okay, okay, that's fine.
'Cause
All right.
I mean, it continues to take up space.
That's
but-
true. That is actually true. I've seen that happen.
I mean, yes, my current phone has 256 gigs of space, so I that's not really an issue as it was on my previous phone, but still. With this, I was gonna say, the thing that was notable is they launched this service in like 2018.
Yeah,
And I think they immediately tried to sell it in 2019, and nobody wanted to buy it. It was like
it makes no
pre-Quibi.
sense. This is
It was
bad.
pre-Quibi. No, I mean, I was not interested in this service. I understand it's essentially what Stadia is doing, but yes, for smaller files. It's exactly what Apple's doing with their game streaming service.
What game streaming service?
What is that called, Jimmy?
The
subscription.
Yeah, you subscribe to it, but you still install a game on your device.
Apple Arcade.
Yeah, don't you get to just stream it? Like,
no, you
okay.
download the game.
Oh, okay,
you install the game.
No, my mistake then.
I've actually used it a little bit. I subscribe to the Apple bundle now. And you actually download the game.
No. Yeah. The service is you. Here's a bunch of games you can download for free.
I remembered one of the things. One of the things that was important about this was it allowed you to do multiplayer on games that aren't natively multiplayer.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That was one thing that was cool. But and then it also
So here's where my brain breaks. A mobile game tends to be fairly small-ish, unless it's one of those really big games that like it's installing a couple of gigs of stuff after the fact. Let's say it is a smallish game that you get on this thing. Streaming it is going to use more bandwidth than installing it in a few minutes. So I don't. My brain hurts here,
if
guys.
you're on Wi-Fi, it doesn't matter.
I don't get it.
Maybe it's just them trying to skirt away from paying the 15% or 30% or whatever the gaming the platform that they're on is going to charge them for having it in the App Store.
Yeah.
Right?
They banked on their level of cachet being enough to get people in the door. But
apparently they're keeping Hatch Kids, just so you know. So they're still keeping that going.
So they're gonna have goats busting out of eggs.
Sounds like it.
Jimmy gets it.
Yeah, I get it too. Well, that's the stories for this week, guys. Hope you enjoy.
All right, and that brings us to the point in the show where we like to get serious. Really? Serious about how seriously awesome our patrons are. Seriously, guys. I'm being super serious. You are awesome. If you would like to,
kidding.
If you would like to be one of those people, one of those seriously awesome people that support this show financially through Patreon, you can head to patreon.com/thebotsquad. You get cool features such as a custom RSS feed and direct line of access to us. You can send us messages. You get special perks on the Discord page. And that's about it for right now. If you can think of something else that the patrons should get, you have direct access
Yes, exactly.
And special perks on the Discord page, or you can tell us what those should be. Patreon.com/The VOD Squad. And on to some rants and some raves. My button's not working.
No!
All right. It's been a while
right.
since that happened.
Well, you know, you can rant about it.
When I pushed the button and it didn't go.
All right. So, I still have been playing Crush Them All, a horrible, horrible game that you can play on your phone that sucks so much of your time. Do not play this game; it will suck up all of your time.
Don't install it. You can always stream it from Roby.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. It's a horrible time waster. Don't do it. I also have been playing World of Warcraft more because, you know, I've really been trying. I'm almost through the beginning of that game. I've not had much time to play it. I've been busy with everything else in our life, so that's been the thing. But there is one thing that I am really happy to kind of talk about. On one of the other Cord Killers or on After Things or something like that, they mentioned, I think it was Bryce who mentioned a YouTube video about, it was a documentary about the Seattle Mariners, and I've always been a big Mariners fan. And it was like, oh, and they made a supercut of it, and it's like 3.5 hours long. It's like, oh, well, I might like that. That has been a really great a documentary. I do recommend, if you have any like of baseball at all, this is the greatest story of baseball we have in modern times. I recommend everybody watch it because it does paint the Mariners not in a good light, like they're a good team. No, that's not what they do. But they do paint the Mariners as a team which you can root for, and a basically a complete counterbalance to those damn Yankees. So it's been a really wonderful series to watch. It took me 2 nights to watch it, and the first night when I was 2 hours in and I realized it was 2 a.m. and I had to quit, it was like, damn. So it was, and yeah, I recommend everybody goes to, it's right by a channel called Secret Base, and in the Mariners documentary, I forget what they actually titled it. Let me bring it up here. It is titled as The History of the Seattle Mariners Supercut Edition is what I recommend you go see. So, yes.
If you like that, you should check out The Battered Bastards of Baseball. It's a documentary about a AAA team in Oregon, I believe. It was owned by Kurt Russell's dad. And the crazy things that they would do to get people to show up, like intentionally start fights. This was during like the 70s. It's a great documentary. If you like baseball documentaries. The other thing I will say about the Mariners, apparently they are the ones who let the dogs out, and for that they should eternally be banned.
Are they? Were they the ones?
There was a documentary that I watched recently about who let the dogs out, to track down who actually let the dogs out, because there's this like whole battle of different people that copied different people that copied different people. But it was the Seattle Mariners that caused the phenomenon to take off, because they started playing it at their games in like 99 or 2000, and that's what made it became a national thing, and for that they should be banned from baseball.
You know,
I think this is a good pick, Matt. Yeah, I think I'm going to add it to my list too.
I'll check it out.
I too watched the same Cord Killers episode where they were talking about this one, and it sounded really interesting. And you know, and I had to go back and think about it. You know, that you know, I mean, this was the team that had, you know, Ken Griffey Jr. and had Randy Johnson there as a pitcher.
Randy Johnson was in. I didn't know Randy Johnson ever played up there.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They had a great team, and then and during that span there, they made the playoffs twice.
Nope.
Or something like that.
Spoilers.
Well, I mean, it's history,
I'm
right?
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
It's hard to
They've
spoil
never
a
made it.
documentary.
They've never made it to the World Series. Period.
No, playoffs. It was
I
just
know.
the playoffs. They
They've
just
made it
made
to the
the
playoffs
playoffs
twice.
right?
They've never made it to the World
And
Series.
and you'd think with a team like that, they would have made it many years, right? And they didn't, right?
Yeah, but that's the Mariners. I watch them because I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I
Well, they're
love
home
them.
team.
I know.
It's the same reason that the Padres will always be my team, because it's hometown. The Padres, they've made it to the playoffs probably like 50 or 60 times. No, I don't know. They haven't been around that long, but
For me, it's the Braves and the A's.
Yeah.
Right.
and the Padres, the 3 times they've made it to the World Series, they've failed spectacularly. They've never deserved to be there every time they've made it. It's like, but yeah, no, I feel it.
One of my favorite scenes is actually in the documentary, which is the scene which is very early Mariners, where a ball is hit just down the third base line is foul, and the third baseman from the Mariners gets down on his hands and knees and uses his and literally blows it over the foul line. So,
What you can do.
no, but technically he got he was eventually the guy was given the base because the rule book is that he actually they had to modify the rule book, but it was he used something to modify the course of the ball. So
Yeah, he manipulated it. Okay.
but I was like, that's brilliant, because I think I remember watching that because I was too young to actually be that, but I remember watching it for the first time and going, oh, they had to stand there and discuss the rule book for like 10 minutes to figure out what exactly they're gonna do about it.
Okay.
Exercise outside influence on the ball. Good job, Van Weave.
Yeah.
That's me.
All right, Jimmy, what you got?
Yeah, so I'm still, I think me and my wife finished the series Succession. It was 2 seasons that are out on HBO Max. We finished that up, enjoyed that. That was a good one. And I've been watching on my own too, the Blacklist, and I'm up to season 7 now. And it's interesting to see how they keep that show interesting throughout each season, right? Of course, I guess it kind of helps when you got an actor like James Spader in there. He always keeps it fun and interesting. I don't think I've seen much of anything with him in it that I didn't like, but yeah, it's really, even in season 7, it's still kind of interesting and kind of keeping you wanting to watch it and see what's going to happen next. So and I think this might be the last season that's on Netflix. At least that's where I watch it at. I don't know if there's a season 8 of that coming up, or if they're going to have a season 8. Haven't made to the end of season 7 yet, so kind of looking forward to see where they take us to here in season 7. So yeah, if you haven't watched that, it's a great show. I think all those 7 seasons are out on Netflix. So if you haven't watched it, that's a good one to add to your queue.
Okay. Cool. I too have been watching something. Hulu's been berating me to try out this new show. Apparently, did you know that Paul Feig and Judd Apatow are making TV? There's this new show starring Linda Cardellini and James Franco and Seth Rogen and a whole bunch of other people. Set in 1980, called Freaks and Geeks.
Oh.
I'm finally finished that season, and I understand why it didn't take off. I don't understand why the show has a cult following, other than all these people went on to bigger and better things, like John Francis Daly. I keep seeing him as it's Little Sweets from Bones. He was, a much beloved character on Bones as the psychiatrist guy. Seeing him and it's like 13 is funny. But there was things about this show that just drove me absolutely crazy, because whoever was in charge of props and continuity kind of stuff for setting it in 1980 completely has no understanding of cars. So, two of the main characters, one has an old beat up Pontiac Trans Am, which, okay, you know, it's got like 30 years worth of faded paint on it. Except this takes place in 1980, and that car was a 1979 at best. So it was literally a 1-year-old. It would have been a 1-year-old car that somehow has 30 years of sun fade. And then what's her name had a Gremlin, which you would think on the surface, oh yeah, you know, beat up Gremlin. But again, it's old. It's not like beat up, and it's just looks old and faded, yet the car would have only been like 3, maybe 5 years old. It's just stuff like that just really irritated me about that show. And but watching it now, I'm like, yep, I understand why I didn't stay home in 2000 to watch this. I had better things to do, much like everybody else in America. So that is the new show from Paul Feig and Judd Apatow, Freaks and Geeks. Oh, and
Brand
also,
new.
I also, after watching it, I saw some very, very, very glaring things that I'm pretty sure that's where the Stranger Things people got most of their ideas was from. I'm pretty sure they were Freaks and Geeks fans, because there was so much stuff in Stranger Things that was lifted straight out of this show. Relationships and character trait, stuff. And I felt like I was watching I felt like I was watching Stranger Things prequel before all the crazy science stuff horror stuff starts happening.
So, question about that was Freaks and Geeks, was that inspired at all by Dazed and Confused?
I'm pretty sure that's what they were trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
It felt a lot like, but they did not execute. I mean, there were so many great people in this. In the very, one of the last, I think it might have been the last episode, Vice President George Bush comes to the school to make a visit, and the head Secret Service agent is Ben Stiller. It's like, I love Ben Stiller, but I do not buy him in this role.
I'm sorry, secret agent? No way.
Secret Service, but yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they're like I said, I don't understand why this show is like so held up as like this holy grail of never should have been canceled. No, I understand why people didn't watch it.
Okay. Yeah, well, there's a lot of shows like that, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it was a bad show. It was just it wasn't anything that really stood out as groundbreaking. It was a good attempt.
How many episodes is in that season?
19 or 18.
Ooh.
They did get a full season. Well, that would have been a short season at that time, because this was a half-hour show. And it felt like the show felt like it didn't know if it wanted to be a comedy or a drama. And I think it started out as a comedy and then fell into the drama, because then later in the season they started doing those previously on at the beginning, and it just kind of totally changed the feel of the show. It's like they didn't know, and I don't know. They didn't know. I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of times those kind of shows don't kind of flop, right? The only successful one that I can remember was MASH, right? That was part drama, part.
Yeah, I mean there have been some successful dramedies, but you kind of have to know that's what you are, not start out as one thing and then be like, oh, yeah. Because then you lose your audience that came in for the first thing when you transition away. And good luck getting a new audience that, you know. But on that note, we should transition away into the after show. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight. It's been a lot of fun, as always. If you are catching this after the fact, either on video on demand or via podcast, we do this live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central, here on Twitch. You should come join us sometime. You get to participate in the chat. You get to submit titles, which you're going to vote on in the post show. And yes, there is a post show, technically. So some people will debate how much show it actually is.
It's kind of a pre-show too, and it was a good pre-show this
Yeah,
time.
it was. Actually, the pre-show kind of overflowed into this episode, so you got yourself a little bit of a preview. Pre-show, post-show, you only get that here on Twitch. So like, subscribe, and all of that fun stuff. And you can get but if you want the podcast, you can get that everywhere the podcasts are available. Don't forget to like and subscribe them there too, because apparently that stuff actually matters. So yeah, I don't personally care. I don't think any of us personally care, but somebody out there does. So, you know, do you?
Okay, fine.
All right,
will.
I'm going to shut it down. Thanks, everybody. We will catch you again next week. Bye.
Bye.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.